It's time for excessive celebration.
Excessive celebration right here on Crossover Radio and Crossover Radio Sports. Radio with a purpose. My purpose is to introduce Billy Bell. I'm Scott Owens. We are high atop Serve Coffee in beautiful downtown Bethany, right across the street from Southern Nazarene University, and sitting right next to historic Route 66. Directly across from me, the Dean of the College of Sports Knowledge, Mr. Billy Bell.
Where's he at?
Where he at?
Where'd he go? Might be the dean, but right now having there we go, camera. There we go.
Titus Dean. Remember Titus Dean from last week? I got a couple more conferences, Bill, with some really. I'm afraid instead of all name team with some of these basketball teams, it's more like all lame.
I think you've got your phone up.
Oh no, I'm hearing feedback, but it is not from me.
That's crazy. Anywho,
I think we're experiencing some of the same rattling.
have you heard the breaking news as far as where one Aaron Rodgers may go?
Well, yeah. Back home and get ready for another year at Green Bay.
I heard a possible Raiders sighting with Aaron Rodgers.
It's weird because I'm hearing you talking again.
Ain't that crazy?
It is. It's bizarre. Oh, that'd be great. I'd be all for that. But the interview I heard today was him just saying what he meant by that was, and he was still doing a little whining, but he said, I don't know if Aaron's going to be around. We drafted a quarterback last year. I don't know if I'm going to be around. I mean, the whole thing was a little bit
Suspect.
Yeah, I think he was reacting to losing and probably some things that he wished may have gone differently, and then was able to, I think, walk it backwards pretty well.
At this point, and I told you before the show, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I weigh my options heavily. I know he wants to retire as a Packer, but given the history, and it's a very extensive history of drafting poorly, as far as offense, as far as giving anybody help, and this is going back to Brett Favre. I'm thinking that I'm possibly going somewhere else. Now, places that have been floated around, Oakland, then you've got Indianapolis, which I don't see that happening, but Indianapolis, the Rams, that could be interesting. You're kind of in the same situation, but a better defense. I don't know. If I've got to sit back and you've really got to take hold of what's around you and the landscape, and you've got to dissect on who's going to be down and who's going to be up, and realistically, nobody thought the Packers were going to be where they were going to be this year. It would be hard not to go back to Green Bay, but I'm telling you, Oakland looks pretty good.
How about Las Vegas?
There, too.
Yeah, I think it looks better than Oakland. I don't care what shirt Golden State's wearing for, whatever. Hey, we left you. We don't love you anymore, but we're
never getting over that.
on.
They will always be Oakland.
Yeah, well, they're not.
Always.
Really? So I need to just sell back that swag I've got for
Yes.
the L.A. Raiders and the Irwindale Raiders and the Compton Raiders and whatever else there was that they... Do you know at one time they were going to be the Irwindale Raiders?
Really?
Irwindale, California. Yeah. Didn't quite work out.
Doesn't have a ring to it.
Oh, I think it's bad. You know what, man? Bill, first of all, it's great to be here. A lot going on. Happy times. I think we talked about how it was tough doing the weekly show because it seemed like there were obituaries, and it got to the point where it was really kind of tough to do those every week. But, Bill.
Yep.
755 home runs. 3,771 hits, which is third all time. If you took away Hank Aaron's 755 home runs, he still has more than 3,000 hits.
Did
right?
you know that they are trying to petition Major League Baseball to go back even farther in the Negro Leagues, and Hank Aaron has 8 more home runs, which would technically make him the all-time home runs leader,
yes.
which he should be anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, Bill, 6,856 total bases all time, 2,297 RBIs all time.
That's silly.
4,471 combined RBIs and runs all time.
Wow.
And think about this, Bill. And this has nothing. This is bizarre because it could have been anybody when you think about it. But there's been 3 players that began their career in a city and ended their career on another team, a different franchise in that same city. So they were in a city, left, and ended their career on a different franchise in the same city. And it is unbelievable when you know who the 3 are.
Who are they?
Hank Aaron started with the Milwaukee Braves, ends up in Atlanta, and he ends his career as a Milwaukee Brewer. Right?
Okay.
Babe Ruth began his career as a Boston Brave, left, went to the New York Yankees. I don't know that did a whole lot when he was there, and then ended up retiring as a Boston Red Sox. Went back to Boston. The third to do it. Now think about the caliber of the 2 that I just named, Aaron and Ruth, right?
Right.
The third was a guy that started with the New York Giants and then played for the San Francisco Giants and ended his career as a New York Met, Willie Mays.
Wow.
Is that not amazing?
I'd say you're definitely not going to see it as much now just because the teams don't migrate as much.
Right,
but
right.
I mean, Miami being probably the highest probability of a team that's going to leave soon. So you're looking at guys
possibly Tampa, Bill.
That started real young with them. So
isn't that interesting?
I think you're going to have to wait for them, like play 20 years to get another team. Which
Yeah. And the interesting thing there, the one little thing that was a little bit of a, I don't know what you want to call it, not a blip, if you will, but the Brewers. It's interesting because he came back to Milwaukee, and when he came back, the Brewers were still an American League team.
Right.
And he was coming back from the Braves. But I just thought that was really kind of interesting. And then, are you like Nostradamus or something? I bring up the fact that Kevin Porter Jr. is kind of a snotty little snide guy that I thought, probably kind of peed in his bed when he came back from them helping him out of I shouldn't be swinging a handgun in my car and all that sort of stuff. And you went, instead of thinking about, this guy's, rainwater or something, you started thinking, where he'd be pretty good. He might fit here. He might fit there. Well, he got traded to Houston.
Yeah, no, shocking.
Yeah, I just thought that was kind of neat. And I try to give you your due, Bill.
What did they give up for him?
I don't think much. I don't really think a whole lot. I think maybe a couple of parking tickets or something.
I don't know what. So you acquire John Wall. You acquire Cousins. You get Victor Oladipo. You're going to now add Porter, who would got to consider either him or Eric Gordon is going to be your 6th man. Christian Wood's been unbelievable for that team. I don't know what they're trying to be, though. Like, the pieces are very strange as far as fit. Christian Wood seems like to be the guy you would build around.
Right.
So if there was some way, somehow, you could possibly get out of John Wall's contract, either by trading him or cutting him later on in the next year, I guess, because you got to hold enough guys to do something with on the floor. I don't know where Houston's heading, and I know they've got a lot of draft picks and stuff, but I don't know where they're heading or what they're trending to or what they're trying to build around, really.
Well, it seems like some quality guys.
Surprisingly, Cousins has played really well.
Yeah. Well,
when not injured.
Well, he seems like who knows? I mean, the guy could be caught driving in a 1946 Ford Apache down the runway at Hobby Airport for all we know. But he seems like somebody that's at least figured out how not to be a total dumb A publicly anymore. I mean, is that fair to say that he's
and I think
matured? I don't even want to use that term.
Why does it seem with big guys, so your Cousins, your Embiids of the world, does it seem like it takes them a little while to develop and grow their maturity to where Russell had his outtakes and stuff, but it wasn't never until later. I mean, that was like 6-7 years down the road, and that's when everybody started nitpicking him over and over. Like, you don't see that many guards going through that same. I mean, Fultz, I guess, but and even Ball, but that was family related. That wasn't because of his play.
Do you think growing up a giant among other kids that you either develop a sense of screw everybody else, or do you have to overcome that? And even as a good basketball player, you've kind of developed this, nobody's like me kind of a thing. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but it does seem like it tends to be related to the Dwight Howards of the world.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Because they're out of this world talents, both of them, right? And you've got to put up with a lot from both of them. Now, Cousins, in all fairness, played with a just terrible Kings team for years. That never really saw any great talent around him, and it was, it's basically Anthony Davis, right? So there's no talent around him, and he's having to do everything.
Oh, I respectfully disagree. We were talking about whether or not people are good GMs earlier before the show.
Right.
You tell me anybody that's could have done a better job than Vlade Dottie. He likes to pot. He did there.
Absolutely nobody.
That's right. Because he ain't bothering anybody. How did they ever play? Do you remember when I'm talking about when Vlade played? They were pretty good for like 2 seasons.
So you had like Vlade Divac, Chris Webber, Williams. I'm trying to think who else was on the team.
I couldn't tell you, bro.
But they were electrifying.
Yeah, they were the anti-Lakers.
For a small market team to match up, and you remember those days when it was Webber, because Vlade would inevitably get fouls on him. So Webber had to go down in the post and guard Shaq and just get manhandled most of the time. But they had attitude about them, and they were a scary team. If they played anybody but the Lakers, and the same thing happened with the Blazers whenever Pippen was on the Blazers with all those teams. It was scary how good that team was, but just because you ran up against the Lakers, you weren't going to win.
Yeah, it's like they were all Phil Mickelson.
Right.
It's kind of what it feels like. I'm better than anybody else except that guy. Which is, it's tough. I know that people at work feel
that's got to suck. So all those guys that go up against like LeBron, your Tom Brady's of the world, your Michael Jordans, you've got to sit through like decades of these guys just dominating your sport. And you might sneak a win in there if you're lucky, but more often than not, this guy's going to the finals.
Well, you're the exception.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the you remember that one? It's not good. But you're right. It's kind of like the exception.
And it only takes 3 All-Stars / Hall of Famers to come and knock you off your perch.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting your perch knocked off, did you see Jamal Murray get ejected from?
I didn't, but I really thought you were going to say Conor McGregor.
No, we can talk about that. This was right in that realm. Tim Hardaway Jr. Yeah, anybody that's paying attention to this, you may want to look at that not with the children around. It's very graphic and very violent. Let's just say Nuggets. I would have thought that it had a lot more to do with Hardaway than the team that Jamal Murray plays. It was not. It was a foul, and then upon further review, and the fact that Hardaway left the court shaped like an L, and in slow motion you see that there was nothing but the absolute intent on redistribution of his lower levels.
Did you see the flop? I guess if you want to call it the flop with Embiid, and then Marcus Smart coming out going, that was a flop.
Yeah. Happened kind of on the near side of the court on the left-hand side, if I remember. If that was a play. Anybody
else on your team coming out to say that might have some credibility to it, but I can't with a straight face be like, Marcus Smart's got a point.
Yeah, he should know though.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, it's
true. Ask the expert.
Did you happen to catch, Bill? I'm a fan of a guy named Clint Boyer, right? I mean, have you seen the new NASCAR commercials for Fox with him on them?
I've seen a couple of them.
Did you see where Gordon wouldn't let him on the elevator, and then he tries to beat him to the top, and he's still ahead of him, and then they get in the booth, and then they start showing film of them throwing down at each other after races and stuff.
It's funny because Gordon always came across as that guy that nobody liked.
Yeah.
And so now he's been in a couple of commercials with these guys, and it seems like they get along. I don't know if it's just an after-the-fact thing or if it was all just kind of felt like made up to some degree.
I think Gordon was that, aw shucks, good looks, boyish good looks, wins everything. I mean, let's not. It had to be Tom Cruise playing him.
I was going to say, tell me him and Tom Cruise doing like a twins movie wouldn't be awesome.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
There's people out there that don't like Tom Cruise. Believe it or not.
What?
No, yeah.
What?
No, they don't. No.
Don't know how you can be mad at Mini-Me. Just can't do it.
Do you remember? This is older than you are, about the time you were born. The movie Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of my favorite movies.
Well, and I can't even say what I'd like to say, but one of my favorite characters from that movie was Serge. Mm-hmm. You remember him?
Yeah. That was Balky, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. And Axel would tell him to do something in a certain way that would require him to get out of there with some other expletives. And Serge would say, "No, I cannot do that."
Yeah.
No, I cannot. How about, would you like coffee with a lemon twist? See, do they have that downstairs, Bill?
They might.
I don't know. JT, local boy. Catcher, Phillies, 5 years.
Yep. Spent a couple of years with in Miami, and then all of a sudden.
He's the real Nito.
Here's the deal, though. So he was okay in Miami, like average, and then all of a sudden he finds this power swing and is raking. So I'm not saying anything. Like maybe he just found a different hitting coach, but it just feels.
Be careful, though.
Is weird.
Be careful.
Something is strange.
You know who his cousins are, don't you?
Who's that?
You know who JT? He's from here, right?
Okay. He doesn't know my address, so I'm okay.
I'm going to give it to you. He's from Bell City area.
Oh.
Bill, his mother is a woman named Margaret Smith.
Okay.
Margaret had some brothers. Leroy, John, Pat Smith, 3 of those. John happens to be the wrestling coach at Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm. Leroy is a contemporary of mine and was national champion, state champion. And Pat also. world champion.
Can I just say that JT is a solid hitter and has made great strides.
Had to, but anyway, he was a wrestler. That was his deal. Growing up, he wrestled. That was what he was all about. And with these cousins, it's kind of how it went. But at some point, he jumped into baseball or what have you. But yeah,
that's a weird transition. You don't see that often, I don't think. As far as you see a lot of multi-sports athletes, but guys that transition from wrestling to even baseball, basketball, etc.
Yeah.
That transition isn't made much.
Bill, I'm not going to go into names or anything just because I don't want to do that on this show. A dear friend of mine passed away a couple of weeks ago, but he was a part of a breed of guys back from in my high school days, and grew up on the west side. As I told you, I went to Putnam West. Had a lot of friends that were Bethany, Yukon, and Mustang friends. We didn't mess with those people at the time, but there were a lot of guys that seemed like playing baseball at the high school level, Bill, that, believe it or not, were also in rodeo. That were also...
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I'm not quite sure what that is. I don't know if it's the chewing tobacco, but there's something there, because a bunch of those guys that I knew that were really good baseball players at West, at Putnam City even, Bethany, out in Yukon, a lot of those guys were rodeo.
But even the transition to that would be, I would think, a lot easier than switching off to a baseball or a basketball.
Well, how about us with trying to talk sports and underwater basketball?
Well, that's an easy transition.
That's a net one pearl too, as long as you've got your scuba gear in the right spot. So, were you surprised, disappointed, amused, the fact that nobody's good enough to get into the Baseball World Series this year, Bill?
The Hall of Fame?
What did I say, World Series?
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get into that.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be the asteroids.
Jetson! I don't know how you go a year. So since 1960, right? That was the last
Is Kevin Spacey going to get a job? Is he going to start Spacey Space Sprockets instead of Spacely?
Could they not even put in Costner for all the films or Quaid?
I don't know.
Like, surely there's one guy. And like I said before, if this was the year that all those guys that did steroids, and because of the COVID situation where there's not going to be a big deal, this would have been the year to get into it.
What Charlie Sheen?
Yeah. There's got to be one person, right? The baseball's Hall of Fame is ridiculous to some degree, right? You have to get a max. You got to get a max, right? And so Schilling was 16 votes off.
Right.
Does he get in next year?
I don't know. Well, I think he's running out of that.
You only get, what is it, 5? I think 5 or 7 years.
Yeah, 7, 5. I don't remember now. I think as much as 9. I think actually is.
I don't.
What about a guy like Omar Vizquel? Is he going to get in at some point?
No.
11 Gold Gloves.
Great player.
5th all time in runs saved by a shortstop, which is a very interesting,
underrated stat.
I don't know that, and wasn't very familiar with that stat.
I think.
How do they do that?
Well, you're looking at probably throwouts. I don't know if tags at second are going to account for that, because if so, Javi Baez is going to blow that away at some point.
Yeah, but baseball's got some of the coolest stats ever.
They're all make believe.
They are after
when a guy on third with left-handed pitching or left-handed hitters up.
With the humidity.
Joe Smith only grounds out 70% of the time. That's a Hall of Fame stat, because that leads all it's just make believe.
In April.
Like there's only
60 degrees.
Like 2 stats that should really matter, and that's ERA and then your batting average. Outside of that,
I guess this may have been his last year to be a part of what they call that is the regular rotation of getting in, because they thought he might get in because it was the very end, because the guys that got in at the very last moment, when Larry Walker, Tim Raines, Edgar Martinez, all on their last shot.
Edgar deserved to be in.
Larry Walker.
By far the greatest DH that's ever been alive. Larry Walker, I would have said, is borderline best.
Yeah, I mean, how many guys could do what he did if they got to play where he played?
Yeah. Tim's...
Is that fair to say? I'm not trying to downplay how
agree.
good he was, but what if he's in Miami trying to hit those
I think
home
if you
runs?
put Larry Walker in and you put Omar Vizquel in, by far and away at the point in time, and this is with Jeter in the league, Omar Vizquel defensively was the greatest shortstop in the league for a long period of time.
What about Scott Rowland?
Again, he falls in line with Omar Vizquel, one of the best third basemen. Probably, I will say he's the best third baseman I've ever seen play. And that's including a couple of years with the guys that were at the end of their career, and then guys now. Arenado's close, but even Machado and all those guys that are playing third base. And Scott Rowland defensively was a wizard.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that. And here's something else that I'm wondering: does some of these guys that possibly, let's say, the Bonds, the Sosas, how much? Let's say, when do these guys vote for this? In other words, when are they casting their vote? Bill, do you know?
I don't know.
And the reason I ask the question is, what if you're thinking, you know what? Maybe it's the year for McGuire. Maybe it's the year for Bonds. Maybe it's the year for Sosa, and you're getting ready to cast that vote, and Hank Aaron dies.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
I wanted to ask you if you knew, because I'd like to know. Was that a vote everybody took today? Have they been voting on it?
I think that was mailed in.
Okay.
Weeks prior.
Because I'm not so sure it wouldn't affect my vote. If I was right there thinking, then I might go, you know what, screw it. You're not getting
Well, and what makes it tougher is now you're going to start getting into the guys that are 90s, 2000s that have really, really good stats. And what's going to make it even tougher are guys, let's just say Judge retired, right? So you're looking at a guy that hits nothing but home runs or strikes out a lot. How does that weigh against guys who hit for average or guys who play their position strongly, right?
Well, whether he deserves to get in or not, Bill, I'm not telling him he didn't get in for that year.
Right.
That is a scary dude.
Listen, there's nobody telling Roger Clemens that he's not getting in the Hall of Fame.
Well, that's why his wife's apparently roided up so she can deal with him. Because, he wasn't doing it. His wife was doing it. Andy Pettit misremembered.
Yeah.
She misremembered.
Pettit he's been up for it a couple of times.
I remember Miss November, but I don't remember Misremember.
You would think you would remember getting a shot somewhere down low.
Yeah. Bill, the Players Association, Major League Baseball Players Union, says no to universal DH. And they also said, no, we don't want playoff expansion, i.e. what we just went through last year.
Probably didn't see enough money come out of it. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I think because here's what happens. Just because they're going to increase these they're going to increase the amount of playoff games, but when everything's back to normal, they're going back to 162 games. So it's just more. But what do you think about the DH deal? Because I have mixed emotions. I guess I'm not a true enough fan to just be absolutely one way or the other on it. I certainly have an opinion. But
I can go either way. I don't necessarily like the DH, and I don't dislike it either. It beats having a pitcher up there who can't hit, which most of these guys, if not 97% of these guys, have hit some point in their life. So why is it that when I get up to college or Major League Baseball, I can't hit anymore? That makes absolutely no sense to me. You can't lay down a bunt. You can't hit a short single to the out.
Tell the late Bob Gibson that pitchers can't hit. Tell a lot of these guys.
It's crazy.
Who was it that was pretty good? One of the guys we talk about on the old...
Mike Hampton was really good. He was the last great pitcher I could remember that, not great pitcher, but good pitcher that could hit.
Wasn't there one of those guys that we talk a lot about, Bill, that was on the Braves rotation?
Tom Glavine.
was Glavine.
Maddox could hit a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking that a couple of those guys could.
Smoltz couldn't hit.
Yeah, I don't think. But
well, Bumgarner can hit a little bit. He went. I think he hit 2 home runs in a game, if I remember right.
Yeah, I
just don't see. I don't understand the drop off.
All right. Well, let me ask you this: from a business standpoint, doesn't that allow baseball to carry more players,
yes.
or wouldn't? I mean, I don't understand why the union would be opposed to it. You'd think they'd either be universally for it or universally against it. I don't understand that, because the union is both leagues. I mean, we're not talking about a different union vote for a different league.
Let me say real quick, as we went off last night, George Springer signed with the Blue Jays.
Yes.
As right before we came on tonight, Simeon from Oakland, the hard-hitting shortstop who all of a sudden found home run power, signed with the Blue Jays.
Wow. After Lindor, we kind of, from everything I read, Springer was the big guy.
Yeah, that was the big get. And I don't know what the attraction is to the Blue Jays. I know they've been trying to spend money over the last couple of years, but that could be a very potent lineup, and we talked about it having Vlad Guerrero Jr. You've got, I believe, Bichette Jr. is on there, and then you've got Biggio Jr. on there.
But that's such an easy division to get through every year.
Yeah, shouldn't be tough at all.
There's nobody over there.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Radio and Crossover Sports Radio with the Purpose. Get that app today. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Coming to served. Fresh Cup, Cafe Americana on George Springer.
Hi, my name is Nick Tarter, and I'm one of the pastors at New Covenant Fellowship in Bethany, Oklahoma. We are located at 6736 Northwest 39th Expressway, inside of Serve. No matter your age, background, or past church experience, we want to invite you to be a part of our family. We are a church where you can belong, even while you're still trying to figure out who God has made you to be. We meet each Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. right here at Serve for small groups, and at 10:45 a.m. for our community worship celebration. We also meet on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock p.m. to talk about gospel and what it looks like to live together as a Christian community. You can find out more about us by visiting newcovenantokc.org, or, of course, you can just come by for a visit. I look forward to personally greeting you when you do.
Hello, I'm Eric Anderson with F&M Bank. Have you noticed how every bank claims to give you service until you run into trouble? That so-called service disappears pretty quickly, but not at any of our 8 locations throughout central Oklahoma. We still have the same financial service delivered by empathetic, responsive, and competent professionals who are committed to our communities. Don't believe me? Come try us out for yourself. Experience relationship banking at F&M Bank. Member FDIC.
Crossover Radio.
How you doing? This is Ian Nickel. Do you like sports? Do you like boxing? Do you like a new perspective? Do you randomly like the year 2008?
What?
If so, you will like my show, Nickel Coverage, a 1-hour sports show every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Central Time, only on Crossover Radio, radio with a purpose.
Is somebody picking up nuts and bolts in the background?
On my back.
Jamal Murray.
Ooh.
You don't know how to act. Maybe you should relax. Maybe you should relapse. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Just kidding.
All right. It's always something fresh, Bill.
Oh, that's awesome.
I
need to make that into something. I don't know what, but that's awesome.
How do you improve on a theme like that? That's what I want to know.
You just stop, apparently.
Bill, is that what Mike Krzyzewski needs to do, Bill?
Feels like it.
This story, it's like last week, Bill, in terms of how I feel about the way the world's going, I've aged 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Krzyzewski reached out, Bill, and apologized to a student reporter days after a viral exchange between the two, Bill. Jake Piazza, a reporter for the Duke Chronicle student newspaper, asked Krzyzewski about his team's, quote, next step forward. After Saturday's 70-65 loss to Louisville, Duke missed multiple shots in the final minutes. But the longtime head coach wasn't in the mood to answer, Bill. Yeah, why don't we just evaluate this game? I'm not into what our next step forward is right now. He then looked at Piazza and said, it's like you exiting a difficult class and immediately being asked about your toughest test. That's what Krzyzewski responded to. Piazza, who made the trip from North Carolina to Kentucky, said Krzyzewski called him once he got back to his apartment in Durham, Bill. Our call was short, but the sincerity in his apology was genuine, and in the end, I appreciated the call. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's the safe face moment at that point.
But
I don't.
They're not going to make the tournament this year. The last time they didn't make the tournament, was the year Krzyzewski missed so much of the season with a back injury. He's been out with COVID and twice, I guess, on this year. But I'm sorry. Yeah, why don't we just evaluate this game? I'm not into what our next step forward is right now. It's kind of like you exiting a difficult class and immediately being asked about your toughest test.
When do you think he hangs it up?
I don't. Oh, I'm so glad you asked.
He's got to be almost 80, right?
You asked the perfect question, Bill. You led right into what I was wanting to talk about.
Because if you're Woj and you're sitting there on the bench for the last 200 decades, it's like, come on, dude, get out of the way.
Let me give you a list of possible replacements.
Okay.
Every one of these guys is a part of his coaching tree. And I'm going to go through them, and then we'll come back, okay? Because
I already know who number one is.
This list is going to blow you away in terms of number of coaches, all right? Mike Bray, head coach at Notre Dame. Capel, head coach at Pitt. Collins, head coach at Northwestern. Woj, head coach at Marquette. Mm-hmm. Hurley, head coach at Arizona State. Johnny Dawkins, head coach at UCF. Tommy Amaker, head coach at Harvard. Blakeney, head coach at Howard. Paulus, head coach at Niagara. Sage, head coach at Elon. Quinn Snyder, Elton Brand, Trajan Langdon. These are general managers in the NBA. Shane Battier, VP of Analytics for the Heats. Grant Hill, ownership of the Hawks.
Battier is one of those guys that they talked about forever being one of the smartest guys in the room, and I'm very shocked that it never felt like he wanted to coach anywhere.
Yeah, he's a VP of Analytics for the Heat. And you got Grant Hill. And then there's four assistants, Nate James, John Shire, Chris Gronwell, Nolan Smith. But Lord almighty, that's unbelievable. You think they got some, not that these Snyder's got a brand or these guys in the NBA are leaving, but.
Well, it always felt.
I don't know. Langdon's the general manager of the Pelicans.
It always felt like Woj was going to be the replacement at some point. It was groomed to be that at some point, but he never walked away. You mentioned Bobby Hurley. That would be a tremendous replacement. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, I know Duke's pretty loyal to who they would come back and get, but I think they would go out of the box a little bit for some
Christian
reason.
Laettner.
Yeah.
I would love that just because of all the Kentucky and Carolina fans that would maybe have an aneurysm and just blow up over something like that.
Well, a couple more kicks and Jamal Murray might be available.
Or who's the tripper? Allen or
Grayson.
Allen Grayson.
Grayson Allen.
Grayson. I was going to get to it eventually. Just help me work through
He's
that.
still surprisingly, he is still in the league. Surprisingly, he's actually playing, and surprisingly, he's not bad. Not bad.
Well,
He's not great, but he's not bad. He's not. So,
is he kind of the Scott Owens?
do you remember Novak when he was in Oklahoma City?
Yeah.
Scott Novak.
Yeah.
So
I also remember Kim Novak, who was an actress that was like way before my time, but yeah.
So when he was with the Thunder, he was a three-point shooter. That's all they'd ever bring him in. He'd play 10 minutes a game, and they'd pass him the ball maybe twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't guard anybody, but that's all he would do. He'd enter the three-point contest, was the highlight of his career or his season.
Opened a few Dunkin' Donuts.
You felt like Grayson Allen was going to get in that mode. But Grayson Allen's got a little ball game to him where he can kind of get to a basket if he has to. Now, he's a not good enough defender not to foul you every play, but he tries really, really hard.
So he's no Duncan Robinson.
Right. He's trying to get you fed up to where he's that guy. This is what I call the Morris twins. They're good enough to play, but there's those guys that you want on your team that'll rile their star up to where he gets a technical.
Yeah.
Or they both get technicals, right? You want that guy.
Oh, sure.
Because they're a nuisance, but they really probably shouldn't be in the league.
And is it? No, I realize they're not on the same team now, but it's like okay, we're gonna go after Draymond or Durant.
Yeah.
Right. Which one? Whose head are we gonna get into?
I don't know if you'll remember this, but there was a point where I think one was on, I want to say the Pistons or something, and the other one was on the Celtics. And right before all this, when they were with the Suns, they said we never want to play against each other. They both were on the Suns, and they both got traded, and one got, pissed off, essentially, that one got traded. So they traded the other one because he wasn't going to play.
Markeith.
And they said they never wanted to play against each other. Like, it's going to happen.
Well, did they get out in the front yard any?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Is there anybody you'd want to dog more than not only a sibling, but a brother, and not only a brother, but a twin? You think the Lopez guys like going against, or the Gasals? I mean, come on.
Listen, there's an interesting story about that, too. If you're going to pay me X amount of millions to play whatever sport, I'm going to go hard after my dad, my brother, my grandma, my wife, whoever it is that I'm across, right? It makes no difference. After the game, it's, hey, how's it going, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Got insurance?
Yeah. Elbow to the face. No. But there's a chance because of Marc Gasol on the Lakers that Pal was trying to get back into the league and join his brother on the bench. But he said he wanted to be a contribution to the team and help out. Dude, you're 95 years old and too many injuries. There's no way you're going to be able to help out.
You're not helping anybody. If you could contribute, you'd be getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, any 7-footer nowadays, if you can walk and talk, you're going to be hired onto a team.
Really? So if I get the
leg extensions.
Was there a South Park like that one time? I think there was.
We can get
Kyle got those.
Maddox got some stilts, so we can get you those and some long
Sweet.
Pants.
Yeah.
You can just always play in your...
Wear them when I go to the Key West concerts and stuff. I can wear them and walk around in the sand with stilts on.
I want to see you in, what are they, compression shorts?
Oh! It's a good look.
Be rail thin, then all of a sudden have feet sticking out.
Yeah, it's a good look, man. Yeah.
I mean, you'd be like Manute Bol was.
Manute? Or are you making... Where are we going with this, Bill?
I'm just saying.
I'd rather be thought of as Bol.
Well,
not Manute Bol.
That too.
I'd rather be the Baby Bowl.
Baby Bowl.
All right, I got some bracketology, Bill, and you were spot on. Last week we were talking, and you said, well, Michigan, they dropped one, but they were going to come back and get back on the gravy train. Well, I got your bracketology as of today.
Ooh.
Top 4.
Does this count the big OU win tonight?
No. This was as of this morning.
Ooh.
So yeah, but that's a big deal. I don't think it's going to change. I don't think it's. Oklahoma right now was a 7 before this game with upward trajectory. So
Possibly
you're
6.
looking at 6 or a
6, probably.
5 maybe. But Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, and Villanova, Bill, your top 4.
That's about right. I think Michigan ends up as a 2 seed somewhere down the line, maybe a 3.
Well, yeah, I mean just sheer numbers
Yeah.
playing against the league they're in. Iowa, Bama, Texas, and Houston. By the way, Clemson's nowhere to be seen anymore.
Oh.
They dropped clear away.
Well, maybe they can get Trevor Lawrence.
The third 3: Virginia, Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Missouri. And the 4 seeds: West Virginia, Tennessee. Good luck staying there. Kansas and Illinois. All right, Texas Tech's a 5. OU is a 7. Oklahoma State is an 8. The Bedlam games rescheduled, and they're going to play like 2 days apart at the end of the season, so that'll be fun. The last 4 in, Bill. The only reason this is that I even mention this is because of the teams that are considered the last 4 in. These are the teams that would be in the first 4, I guess they call it. Seton Hall, Maryland, Stanford, and Michigan State.
Wow.
So you got those teams just fighting to get in. You got Duke on the outside looking in. Carolina's rebounded to the point where they're looking a little better. Kentucky can't find daylight. It's weird. Kansas is reeling. Bill, what do you think of Kansas? You think any of this has to do with this fact that we still don't know what's going to happen with Kansas?
I think Bill Self's given up and it's on his way out, and I'm very, very shocked that he didn't bounce on out before all this.
Well,
but
we kind of have talked about that.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
I think that the only move that he's really got, it's going to be progressively harder for teams like Kentucky, Duke, Kansas of the world to get 2 to 3 to 5, sometimes 5-star athletes. It's just going to go that way with the amount of options that players have nowadays, and players not overwhelmingly want to go to these blue bloods anymore. They want to go to your lower ranked colleges, to some HBCUs, or even just, you know what, hey, I want to make my own mark somewhere else kind of stuff. It's going to be progressively harder. Now, are some of these schools still going to get 2 guys that can dominate? Yeah, sure, it's going to happen.
But Bill, are they going to be under the same dilemma that the college football coaches and teams are? In other words, man, I got here. I can leave. I can go anywhere I want. I can transfer.
Well,
I can do that one time.
The other option is basketball also has a league to where you can go play.
Oh no, I
for
get
money,
that. No, I certainly get that. But I'm just thinking, if I'm competing and I'm going to Kentucky, and in the past it wouldn't matter because you could roll 3 or 4 guys out there, but now all of a sudden I'm not going to get the immediate play time. Most likely I'm not going to get, if I can't make the 2 deep at Kentucky, getting paid may not be in my immediate future either.
Yeah.
So, but I can bounce somewhere and it doesn't hurt me at all. So now I go to Eastern Kentucky or whatever.
If high school kids or college kids were smart, they would look at a guy not like Steph Curry, not like Kevin Durant. Look at a guy like Eric Paschall that plays with the Warriors. This guy sat behind people.
Oh, sure.
This guy started some games, or even Deion Waiters for that matter, right? And then you think about what they're doing in the NBA now. Either winning rings or they've are now starting on teams and dominating and seeing more action. Those should be the attainable goals that you should look for. Not that you're going to be the next Anthony Davis. There's only 2 people in the world or in every draft that can get close.
DJ Augustine, something like that.
Right. So if you're, or even what was the guy that played at what was it, Syracuse or no, maybe Villanova last year? That's now with I think he's with the Jazz, but he was a really good player in college, and then now he just kind of sits on the bench. But you're still making money. Eventually, you're going to come along, and he's or Sam Decker, that would be another good guy.
Oh well, that guy,
Wisconsin, right?
That guy's, I'm not a fan of his.
Knocked you out?
Not a fan of his.
Why not?
He married Olivia Harlan.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Yes, you do.
Olivia Harlan.
Sideline reporter. She's now Olivia Decker. She's Kevin Harlan's daughter. Trust me.
Never seen it.
Yes, you have.
Okay.
There's no doubt in my mind.
I'm going to have to Google it up.
Olivia Harlan Decker. Yes.
I'm going to have to Google it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I was already mad that Christian Ponder marries Sam. How does that happen?
I don't know. Samantha Ponder's an attractive woman that seems to know a lot about football. But yeah.
Olivia Decker, huh?
Yes. Yeah. She was Kevin Harlan's daughter. She's sideline reporter. I think she's CBS for some time. Then maybe worked for ABC, if I'm not mistaken. Not sure if she's where she is now.
Okay.
But certainly an attractive woman. So,
okay. Yeah, she does.
I just don't care for him as a result of that.
I thought it was because of all the games they won at Wisconsin.
No, I kind of like Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a school that I have some fondness for. It goes all the way back to the 70s, and a running back they had named Billy Merrick. Big Wisconsin fan back in there. I was a big Big Ten guy, Bill. Like I told you, Dennis Franklin was at high school. I was wearing his jersey, baby, number 9, Michigan. I had it. I didn't need any Cornelius Green stuff going on, pitching to Archie Griffin. It didn't do anything for me. We got the Big 12 SEC Challenge, Billy Bell.
Uh-oh.
And how much time we got?
You got about 8 minutes.
Okay, let's do this. You want to?
Okay.
Because, Bill, we're going to do we're not going to do Sky Q this week, other than to mention, and I feel like now's a good time if we have 8 minutes, that Billy Bell has already, in a TKO, has won the football version of Sky Q. And he won it by picking the most evil person on the planet. No, he had Tampa Bay winning, and that's just kind of stupid. But anyway, Billy's 92-43. We have one game left. He's up 2. That's why I'm going ahead and rolling out the congratulatory rug, Bill, that we can wrap you in like Earl. I'm devastated, man. I was supposed to win this thing. I ended up 90-45. Now we still got one game to go. Sky Q, 84-51. Our guest picker, 71-64. And I do want to mention our guest picker last week, Michael Buchanan. And the reason I want to mention is because I can. And Michael happens to be Skylar's stepdad. Michael's a great guy, and I was thankful that he wanted to be a part of this and do this along with Skylar. So thank you, Michael. And we'll ask you for more later on in the year. Are we going to do some FCS? Do you know we got college football starting up in about 4 weeks, Bill?
Can I just say real fast, the listeners, great comeback. There was a strong point where I thought that they were going to go below 500 and stay below 500.
You know, the way those kind of things could happen, Bill, not that it ever would, because it would be so, I mean, you'd have to be such an idiot to go like 0-8. I mean, I don't even know how you can't plant that stupid of a flower, okay? So I don't know how Chris from Phoenix could fail that bad.
I don't want to give credit to Chase for spurring that return, but
I think you have to. I think Chase came back hard. I think your father-in-law had a good effort. Now I think my boy YT went like 2-6 and didn't help the cause much. But, I mean, let's put it this way: my 6-year-old granddaughter went 4-4.
We'll take it.
Anyone else? Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. All right, Bill. So I have. I'm going to pull this up because you know Sky Q, you'll find this right up his alley. So I told him it was Big 12 SEC showdown this week, right?
Right.
So we're going to do this weekend thing. We're all going to pick the games, right? So I give him the list, right? So he's right back. He nails all 10, gives them back to me, right? And then in the next text after that, he goes, basketball?
Because that could go horribly wrong.
I said, yes. He goes, then okay. And I said, you didn't like KU over Tennessee in football? And he goes, no, or OU over Alabama.
Right. Oh, man.
All right, so here we go, Bill. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. The 11 a.m. game is Alabama at OU. That's one of the two 11 a.m. games.
Well, so interesting stat. Oklahoma loves to play in the morning. No, I just made that shit up. Oklahoma.
Okay. I got OU. And Skylar has OU.
So wash.
Yeah. Okay. A&M at Kansas State.
Kansas State.
All right. So let's see. Billy's got KSU. Skylar A&M. I have A&M. All right. Texas Tech at LSU.
I'm going to take Tech.
Everybody took Tech. All right. TCU at Missouri.
Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri's good. Skylar's got TCU. I wonder what he thinks he knows. All right. What about Florida at West Virginia, Bill?
West Virginia
game. Yeah, we got West Virginia all the way across here. No, Sky's got Florida.
He knows something.
Man, I don't know.
Did Noah go back?
I don't know.
Horford?
Auburn at Baylor.
Baylor.
You think?
By like 50.
All right. Arkansas at Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I think they should beat Arkansas. We'll see. KU at Tennessee. Now, that might be a better football game than based on the fact that they may not have any players or coaches.
Based on the way Kansas has been playing, do you trust them now?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm going Kansas, but man.
Yeah, but that's not easy.
I can't even say that's normally this in a, I don't know, non-weird year that this should be a slam dunk, right?
Right. All right. What about Iowa State at Mississippi State?
Iowa State.
All right. Well, you got ISU. Skylar and I got Mississippi State. And then Texas at Kentucky.
Kentucky's terrible.
Yeah, they are.
And Texas just lost Oklahoma.
Yes.
I'll take Texas.
Yeah, all the way across the board. Okay, so that's our 10. We'll track this. Let's see, Bill. Let's see if we got any different here. We got OU. Let's see. You took K-State. I took A&M. We both took West Virginia. We both took Missouri. We both took Baylor. Both took OSU, Kansas. You took Iowa State. I took Mississippi State. We both took Texas. So we got a couple different ones there.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works out, and see what Sky Q comes up with.
There is absolutely no reason that the Big 12 shouldn't just blow the doors off this and win 9 or win the majority, 90% of those.
Yeah, I don't know if TCU or Iowa State or Kansas State can win.
Surely they're good for one.
We'll see.
Surely.
Stop calling me Shirley.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Radio and Crossover Sports Radio with the Purpose. Get that app today. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, and Twitter. That's EC Sports Show. Coming to serve Fresh Cup Cafe Americana on Shirley.
For a great cup of coffee, there's nowhere better than Serve, where they only serve the best Grounds for Compassion coffee. Come visit them at 6736 Northwest 39th Street in downtown Bethany, Oklahoma. Serve is a home for Crossover Radio, and we can't keep our DJs in studio because they're all hanging out getting coffee. Serve is open Monday through Thursdays, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Fridays, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Serve Coffee. We serve coffee. We serve the community.
I just love it out here. It's so peaceful, and you get chills when you come out, and you feel the presence of God, man. You know, it's something, and the feelings. That's something a lot of us have never had.
Opiates, meth, alcohol. Are you addicted? Rob's Ranch is a non-profit, Christ-based treatment center for men located in central Oklahoma. Rob's Ranch uses proven treatment methods and a program of spiritual growth to give men the opportunity to restore their lives and their relationships. Every member on staff has been there and are now in recovery themselves. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction to drugs or alcohol, please call 405-253-3838 or find Rob's Ranch on Facebook or online at robsranch.org.
They're just so accepting, so caring. It'll change your life if you're not careful.
And we're back. Excessive Celebration. Crossover Radio, Crossover Sports. Just one spoonful away, Scotty.
This is like a little Tubular Bells kind of Mike Oldfield, Reagan, The Exorcist kind of thing happening there.
It's very mellow.
Yeah, right before she turns her head all the way around and makes a popping sound. And I was like, I'm out of here. Got better things to do. Is there a Paul Newman movie or something? Because this little girl's scaring me to death. In fact, the only time I've been as scared as I was watching that little girl with the devil inside her was the last 2 weekends watching number 45 for Tampa Bay, Mr. Devin White, terrorize the teams that I was hoping would be good enough to beat his team. That man is horrifying.
Their defensive line's scary. All of them. Now, granted, Green Bay lost a very, very good player in Bakhtiari. I think it was week 17. But man, they can be scary. It's going to be an interesting matchup, and what they did and were able to do to a legend in Aaron Rodgers to a up-and-coming legend in Patrick Mahomes could be two completely different issues, right? Rodgers tries not to get out of the pocket as much, to where I would think most would say Patrick Mahomes on the move is the scariest thing you could have. The ability to contain the pocket around Mahomes is going to be interesting, and we saw it in the first game. So Tyreek Hill goes off for 200-something yards, a couple of touchdowns. Then they come out the second half and they slow it down, and they kind of put a cease to it, and they're able to get back in the game. Now they weren't able to win, but they get back in the game to some degree.
Right.
There's definitely a lot more praise going around for Todd Bowles and what he's been able to do, and we saw the failed experiment in with the Jets as him as a head coach, and it's another guy that should be looked at again as a head coach at some point. It's interesting what's going to happen the first quarter of this game and the second quarter and what tone is set. I think it goes one or two ways. Either Kansas City's blowing them out or it's a really tight ball game. Mm-hmm. And I know that's kind of both sides of my mouth there, but I don't think Tampa Bay can blow them out. I think Kansas City's either going to blow them out or it's a really tight ball game and a half.
Yeah, if we take a step back and maybe look a little bit at what happened last week.
Right.
Because I think there's something that you said that is, it's easy to prove your point here. And one of the things that I looked at, Bill, if you remember, because what I decided to do, because I think it's kind of interesting, I brought the notes from last week in terms of conference championships and some of the things that we talked a little bit about. One of the things that we mentioned was that in the first game between the Bills and the Chiefs, that the Bills decided they were going to stop Kansas City's deep game, and they did, and they gave up 245 yards on the ground.
Right.
Okay? I didn't even... I watched two games, 4 teams. Was there a running back on the field other than Fournette on one play?
No, they were like highly touting Hilaire being back.
Yeah.
Where was he on the field?
But not only every one of these games, and Kansas City especially, Bill.
Yeah.
You know why they didn't run it?
They don't have to. There's no need. The biggest run play came from Tyreek Hill coming out of the backfield, which I think was a forward pass anyway. So
yeah. Listen to this, Bill. This just blew me away when I read this, because what's interesting is when you look at listen to the stats now. Mahomes, 29 of 38, 325, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 127.6 rating. Josh Allen, 28 for 48, 287, 2 TDs, 1 interception, 80.8. Beasley, 88 yards on 7 catches. Diggs, 77 yards on 6 catches. I wrote this. You may be able to agree or disagree with this. When Beasley's your most productive offensive player, you're not going to beat Kansas City.
They shut Diggs out for 3 to 3.5 quarters. Most of those yards were on one of their last drives. So there had to be something else, and that's either Josh Allen running the ball or Singletary or Moss or one of the other guys running the ball effectively, and it never happened.
Yeah.
Defensively, they held tough. They weren't amazing because they were getting shredded by Kelsey and Hill all game long. You've got to go back to taking one away, and I think the one you take away is Hill. All day long, you let Kelsey beat you for 10 to 15 yards if that's what it's going to be. I don't think Pringle's good enough to beat you. I don't think Hardman at this point in his career is good enough to beat you, even with the speed. I think you have to find some way to tone down what Tyreek Hill can do.
Listen to these 2 stat lines. Again, just to prove your point.
It's crazy.
So I gave you Beasley and Diggs, right? Hill, 9 catches, 172 yards. Forget the running.
Yeah.
19.1 average. Kelsey, 13 catches, 118 yards, 9.1 average, 2 TDs. You look at that and you go, there's my deep threat. There's the guy that moves the chains for me. The only thing is, the guy that moves the chains is also a deep threat.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable. You can't. There's nothing you can take away that doesn't kill you for taking it away.
Buffalo had a great season, and for everything they accomplished this year was a step in a right direction for them, right? So on the fly, you get Stephon Diggs and trying to figure that out and how well that's going to work. It's kind of obvious that they need another playmaker alongside of that. I think Beasley's a great player, but he's a slot wide receiver, and he's not super electrifying, to put it nicely.
Yeah.
But if you can get somebody else outside that can kind of create space, or even maybe just a tight end that can just wreak havoc or something, a running back that's more consistent, so 1 to 2 pieces of fully completing with Kansas City, you're there. Defensively, I think they're solid all the way around. I think the scheme may have been a little bit off because I don't think letting both of those guys run wild on you is that's never gonna let you advance.
Right. They may lose their offensive coordinator too.
It's a high probability. Possibly lose. I've heard Frazier's name floating around there. What was it? The Houston job,
Possibly.
I believe.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that appeases Watson, but sure.
I have a list of possibilities for him if we get that far. But
if you go to the other side in Tampa Bay and what they were able to do, it's weapons-wise they match up better against everybody in the league just because the amount of and that's with Antonio Bryant not playing most of the time, right?
Bill, what if I just gave you these stats, okay? Brady, 20 for 36, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 73.8 rating. Rodgers, 33 of 48, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 101.6 rating. Here's the other part. Brady, 1 sack. Rodgers, 5 sacks.
Yep.
Now, let me throw one more thing at you. Adams, 9 catches, only 67 yards. Devin White, 15 tackles, 9 solo, 1 fumble recovery. And you had made a point at some point to talk about the ineffectiveness of Jones. 6 rushes, 27 yards.
Got knocked out of the game. So it brings up interesting points all the way around. So first off, this couldn't be a better team to set you up against to go play against Kansas City. Not quite mirror images because nobody has a Tyreek Hill, but you've got a wide receiver who just catches touchdowns essentially. Supposedly had a running back, but I've never believed in Aaron Jones, so I don't know where everybody gets that from. But the other
is the best ever.
Yeah. The best thing I heard about Aaron Jones leading up to this was the thing that he did with the kid that had cancer, and the kid drew the shoes for him. Colored them,
yes.
And he wore them, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to knock Aaron Jones down. I just don't see where he's an elite back.
Mm-hmm.
The part that's interesting about Green Bay's season is now you've got Aaron Rodgers, which everybody believes is still going to sign in Green Bay. Aaron Jones comes up, which it doesn't look like they're going to pay him at all, or at least what he thinks he's worth. So you get into the Dak Prescott situation. I don't know what you're going to do in the draft. Let's just say you bring Rodgers back on whoever's terms. You know he's going to ask for help. You know he's going to want another wide receiver because it feels like they need one. Even though they had the best offense in the NFL, 90% of the production was him and Adams.
Yeah.
So how is that the best?
Yeah, it's not sustainable. Yeah. It was like a streaking comet that was the brightest in the sky for a short period of time.
You can have the best, but if you had more options to that, you're terrifying at that point.
Mm-hmm. How are they, Bill, in terms of their interior? Because all that other stuff, and I'm not suggesting they aren't, but that would be the thing that would make that less simple.
Well, you got Bakhtiari who's coming off a torn ACL now, so who knows what he's going to be or if he even really wants to come back. Offensive line wise, they could probably draft a little bit better. Maybe add some depth. It still, I think, reverts back, though, because you can find ways around a bad offensive line. Look at Pittsburgh in the basically 1 to 2 seconds or less where Roethlisberger's just dropping it out of his hands and getting it to his playmakers. Not everybody has the luxury of either Mahomes or Brady working their way around the pocket. And Aaron Rodgers does a great job at it, but you can't do that all the time every game. It just doesn't work. And for them to think even that we'd be better off without Aaron Rodgers and let's bring in Jordan Love or whomever the quarterback. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, making those angled throws should be the exception, not the rule.
It's crazy what especially those two are able to do just arm angle wise.
Yeah, I'm looking here. My angle's here. I'm going to throw the ball there, and you can't tell it, and you can't tell it, but my guy that's catching it knows that it's coming.
So just
like
a real quick fun game that I want to do with you, and it's not too far off topic. Let's just say Aaron Rodgers does not go to Green Bay. What do you feel the ideal situation would be? What team?
New England.
I would have New England falls number 2 for me. I still think the Raiders are your best choice. Just if you looked at it on a football landscape of how far they grew, and if you want to say that maybe Derek Carr isn't the answer, even though you and I feel he's a solid NFL quarterback.
Oh, but if you're asking me for which one of those two I want, I mean.
Right. I mean, but perfect situation for Aaron Rodgers to win now, win immediately. I think it's the Raiders.
Is he going to play defense, Bill?
Well, he's got it. But think about this. You've got a running back. You've got a wide receiver in Ruggs, who you just drafted. You've got a tight end who I think is amazing.
Guys going to play on the other side?
They might.
Okay.
So then, we'll take away that. So we'll say Aaron Rodgers to one or the other. Where does Derek Carr go? Where does he fill? The other one I thought about for Rodgers was Tennessee.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do with Rodgers? I mean, with Carr's backup though.
Oh no, he'll still be there. They need 4 quarterbacks, right? So where does Derek Carr go? Does he be the odd man out and he goes to say Detroit at that point?
God, that'd be horrible for him.
Because Stafford's on the move. So what's Stafford's best situation?
Well, I've heard who Detroit wants.
Who's that?
Fields.
Okay, have fun losing for
I'm just telling you, that's
that's fine. Go be miserable for 10 years.
Mel Kiper.
I really hope Justin Fields turns out to be just a whale of a quarterback, but I just don't see it. I really don't. What do you think about Stafford, or even think about this? Stafford or Aaron Rodgers going to Atlanta with that offense that they have now?
I don't know.
Is that not an upgrade, though, over Matt Ryan?
Well, it may be, but if I'm Stafford or who are we talking about? Rodgers. I'm going down there.
I think about it.
Ownership's okay. The coaches don't know what they're doing. We were just talking about blowing that team up.
I think they need to, but I don't know if they will.
Okay, let me ask you this. You got a better chance of winning now in Atlanta or New Orleans? And I realize that's almost a loaded question because I think we both agree that the toys at New Orleans are getting tarnished.
Yeah, I think the coaching would be better in New Orleans, but I think the players would be better in Atlanta. And that's more of an age thing. And I know Kamara and Thomas are roughly the same age as Julio and Ridley, but just the fact that you would have those weapons on 2 guys that really want to throw the ball deep, it feels like it would be a better fit. But the coaching-wise...
This is going to sound so stupid to say this.
But the other side is Taysom Hill's, if you can still get him in New Orleans, that's a scary thing too.
Can these guys be about the same? This is so funny. This is one of those things that you could say it either way.
Right.
The group that we just mentioned, the running backs and the backs, Atlanta and New Orleans. We just talked about how they're basically about the same age, but you kind of lean at this point, even though the last couple of years, production-wise, the New Orleans guys have had it.
Yeah.
But maybe their drop is they're closer to the edge than the other guys are, right?
Yeah.
Is it because they played so many more playoff games?
It's a high probability.
But you see how silly a question that is? That should make them better. But the fact that they've been better, does it now make them somebody you don't bet on as much as the other guys?
Yeah, so think about it.
Is that a legitimate question?
Think about this. Alvin Kamara for 2 to 3 years was probably used more heavily than any other running back outside of maybe Derrick Henry, and that's including pass plays and run plays. And people wonder why running backs drop in production. It's because this guy touched the ball 500 times.
Yeah, you make 3 or 4
it's crazy.
deep playoff runs, that's almost another season.
Yep.
For a running back.
No, I agree.
So you're good. You're so good that you wear out quicker.
Atlanta's been saving themselves for this moment.
Yeah, they're pacing themselves, right?
After that Super Bowl, you know what, guys? We're gonna hold back a little bit.
We call it the process.
So let's just put it this way: in a weird carousel, I think you get Matt Ryan going to Indianapolis. I think you get Aaron Rodgers probably staying put. I think you get Stafford. I really think Stafford may go to Dallas, but I'm going to say you get him in Atlanta.
Do you know where I heard Stafford may go?
Denver Broncos.
Carolina. I don't think that they're overly enamored with Bridgewater in terms of his health.
Yeah. It's interesting. The thing that I don't like about Carolina is they've never been able to draft a wide receiver outside of Steve Smith. I mean, really, they haven't had any good wide receivers. Brandon LaFell fell through. My guy out of Michigan was turned into a tight end and really wasn't that good. You got McCaffrey, I guess, to go with you, so it's interesting there and how much he can still really do. I wouldn't be sold on it.
I just know that's one of the ones people have kicked around. I found this interesting, Bill. Now, Kansas City had the best odds. This is all the way back.
You mentioned Kansas City. They're possibly going to pick up Drew Lock.
Wow.
Just to sit there and hold a clipboard, that's all.
Or just to throw that little 4th and 1 pass that Chad Henne could throw.
Hey, everybody needs a solid backup.
So the Chiefs were 6-1. Ravens were 13-2, so basically 6.5-1. The Niners, you should want to make that bet, were 9-1. The Saints were 11-1. But the Buccaneers, Bill, had the 5th best odds. 14-1.
It's the Tom Brady effect.
Isn't that something, though, when you look at that? Better odds, believe it or not, than the Dallas Cowboys, the Patriots, the Vikings, the Steelers. I mean,
it's the Tom Brady effect.
So I think it's Gronk.
I would love to see any of those quarterbacks.
I think it's that wide receiver that showed up at the end of the year.
Yeah. I would love to see any of those quarterbacks go to Minnesota. Any of them.
Well, Bill, you know, we kind of kicked around the draft a little bit, but got some pretty good free agent running backs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at your boy Aaron Jones right off the bat.
Wouldn't waste my time.
He's a free agent. Do you know who else is a free agent?
James Conner's a free agent.
Chris Carson.
Seattle needs to lock him up.
Is a free agent.
I would lock up Chris Carson.
He'd look pretty good in Green Bay.
He'd look good anywhere.
Yeah, he's got to stay healthy, though.
I think the biggest problem with him would be obviously the health issues, but I don't know that he's an every down back.
I don't know that he is either.
I think you give it to him just because of the style. First, second down, I'm cool with him, and he can catch, but third down, I would be so tempted to bring in like a Matterson out of Minnesota. Somebody who can change the pace a little bit. Maybe, taking Carson and put him in New Orleans behind Kamara, that would be an interesting combination, right? So you've got your kind of scat back, you're all everything, but then you got this guy that can just bulldoze you. He just progressively in the future could be that next guy that's going to be LeGarrette Blount and just go to championship team after championship team.
What about him in Buffalo?
That's a perfect fit.
Because I was thinking about what you'd said earlier, about Buffalo, and then also Kenyon Drake, who I think has been looking for less than fantastic.
Drake was amazing in Miami, but again, that's when you don't have any players and you had Ryan Tannehill handing you the ball.
Yeah.
the move or the trade wasn't great for him. I don't know that he has a bunch left. Now, can he be a guy that you can bring onto your squad and he'll be okay? Yeah, probably, because Arizona went through 75 different running backs this year. So if it's a value play with Drake, I'd probably take him, but I wouldn't spend a ton of money on it.
Yeah. You mentioned James Conner, and
Yeah.
I think he's still got plenty of tread left.
I'm curious on Conner. I know they were real high on Benny Snell, and every reason to be, but James Conner showed a lot when Le'Veon Bell went through his episode. James Conner, I'm kind of with you. I think he's still got a couple more years where he can be an extremely productive back. I just don't think it's going to be with Pittsburgh.
Nope. A lot of people think he's going to go play for the New York Jets.
Well, I would. So the upside to playing with the Jets right now is, right, they've got a ton of money that they could just, spill out onto people. It's that LeBron James leaving the Cavs and Delanova gets, $50 million to go play 2 seasons somewhere else, right? It doesn't make sense. So I could see that. It'd be tough to play for the Jets, though.
Yeah. What about Mike Davis?
Average.
Yeah. And then James White. These are pretty good running backs, though, for a free agent class.
James White is a underused running back that can catch. Speed-wise, he's not up there with Tyreek Hill, but can he be as elusive? Yes. But he was never utilized fully with the Patriots. So I would if I'm going to take anybody out of that group, I'm taking James White.
Yeah, and it looks like they're predicting that he'll resign. It's interesting, Bill, because I hadn't paid much attention to this. I was just looking at the contract analysis on some of this. Chris Carson, this is kind of an interesting deal. I don't know, because you follow Seattle, so maybe you would agree with this or not. I threw that out there about Buffalo based on what you had said, okay? Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at this. Carson has had as strong of a start to his career as possible after being selected 249th overall. The 26th running back taken in the draft that year, right? Nevertheless, Seattle drafted Rashid Penny in the first round in 2018, added DJ Dallas in the 4th round in 2020, which could signal they're looking to replace Carson, not retain him. Their prediction? Bills signed Carson for 3 years, $27 million, $15 million total guaranteed, $10 million fully guaranteed at signing.
I would take that.
And I promise you, I hadn't seen that one.
If I'm the Bills, I'd jump all over that. Penny's very, very average, and Dallas I've never seen hit the field. So if you're Seattle and you let this guy walk, I don't do it.
I question that, but that's why I asked you, because I know you follow them closely. Was there any part of them taking some guy named DJ Dallas that all he doesn't do is win? I mean, I don't know this guy, and I mean, Carson's, at least to me, has proven that he's an NFL caliber back. My goodness.
Penny, by far and away in college, is the best back that they have on their team. But that's in college. Carson's at a different level than any of those guys are. Carson's at a different level than, I would even say, Ezekiel Elliott is. Like, he's blown past what Zeke's done. It's not even close to me. I would take Carson, and I would lock him up as much as I can. Now, would that stop me from maybe this year or next year drafting a running back right behind him? No, it wouldn't, right, because you need that revolving door running back situation. But the other side of this is, it seems like it aids teams to only sign these guys for like 4 years at running back. Mm-hmm. And then after that, let them go.
Yeah, I agree.
Because once every so often will you get a Adrian Peterson in his prime, or a guy that a Le'Veon Bell who can transition so well between receiver and running back. It doesn't happen as frequently as we think it is. So the Rams, with getting Akers and how well he's going to do, give it like 2 years. And then after these next 2 years are up, bet that Akers isn't on that team anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bill, how are we doing time-wise?
You've got about a minute.
Okay, I have that little 5-minute card.
I'm sorry. I left that over there in the...
No, it's okay. I'm trying to work through it. But when we get back, we can talk a little bit about the draft. But kind of want to talk the Deshaun sweepstakes and see if that's settled down a little. And little C. Wu managing some weight.
It's DJ Dallas.
Sounds a little bit like Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Radio and Crossover Radio Sports Radio with the Purpose. Get that app today. Coming to serve. Fresh cup on Mr. DJ Drop the Mic Dallas.
At Passion Church in Bethany, their mission is to encounter God and engage culture. You can join them Sunday mornings at 10 or 11:30. There's Passion Kids for the children during the services. Wednesday nights at 6:30, teens and college students get plugged in with Ignite Youth Ministries. Passion Church is located at 3301 North Council Road in Bethany. Learn more or watch online at passionchurch.tv, or you can call 405-210-7754. Passion Church. Encounter God. Engage culture.
If you have a problem, the Sharpstone Group is the answer. Our team has over 100 years of combined experience in process improvement, project management, and information technology solutions. We offer everything you need to push your organization to the next level. From project management to managed IT services, our specialists have worked extensively in all industries, including extensive experience in healthcare, legal, energy, and education environments. Our techs have experience with software as a service, such as Office 365 and ServiceNow, Microsoft Windows, Microsoft Exchange, storage solutions, backup and disaster recovery, Cisco technologies, and a long list of other applications. Get the edge you need. Call or email today at 405-594-0100 or email info@sharpstonegroup.com.
It's time for excessive celebration.
I faked you out.
Scared me.
I faked you out.
Stop.
We're back.
Stop.
No.
Open the bay doors, Hal. Open the bay doors. No, Dave. I can't do that, Dave.
I need to label the promo a little bit better, probably.
I don't think we should label things, Bill. That's
Okay,
so
good call.
last administration. Bill, Siwoo manages waste. Siwoo Kim wins the waste management open over Patrick Cantlay. A year after Siwoo fired a tidy 87 in the first round and withdrew, he comes back, wins the hardware this year. He joins Colin Morikawa as the only PGA Tour players under 26 years old with 3 career wins. OU in Mexico's Abraham Answer shot a 66, finished tied for 5th at 15 under. Third round leaders, Bill, co-leaders, Tony Finau and Max Homa, who is the nephew of Chief Nakahoma, originally of the Atlanta Braves, faded to a 76 and didn't quite make the cut. So big win for Siwoo Kim. Now I got some really interesting stuff here for you, Billy. Davis Love III been named captain of the U.S. President's Cup team for a competition that the international squad is going to now have in 2022 due to the coronavirus, because Ryder Cup's going to be this year instead of last year.
Mm-hmm.
He was a 2-time Ryder Cup captain. He's going to be an assistant to Steve Stricker. Oh, now there's a guy that'll really get you motivated. Driving his Buick to his golf tournament. That'll really get you going. At Whistling Straits, President Cup's going to be at Quail Hollow in Charlotte. Trevor Immelman is going to be the captain of the President Cups.
Can't you wait for when like DeChambeau and Jason Day and all those guys are like older and they're named president or named captain and stuff like that?
Yeah, DeChambeau's going to make everybody have those like retractable shafts and stuff.
Guys,
yeah.
Put down the golf clothes. It's time to go. It's time to go bench.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Bill's got some great news. A little political upheaval caused the PGA of America to step away from a Donald Trump-owned golf course in Long Island. Just didn't really need all of the negativity that goes with that. So, good news if you're a local. The PGA of America has named Southern Hills Country Club in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the host site for the 2022 PGA Championship, replacing the Bedminster course dropped by the organization. It's going to be held May 19th through the 22nd, 2022, at a major championship venue. Hosted 5 PGA championships, Bill. The 2007 PGA won by some guy named Tiger Woods. The notice getting it this late isn't ideal, but here's the thing, Billy. They're already hosting the Senior PGA Championship up there this year. So a lot of the same group of people, it's the PGA puts it on, the same group of people involved, so they think that it'll be fairly smooth. This is kind of neat. The Southern Hills hosted the 2001 U.S. Open, won by Retief Goosen. The 1994 PGA Championship, Nick Price won. Tommy Bolton, 58. I actually got to see some of this, Bill, with my dad. Hubert Green won the U.S. Open at Southern Hills in 1977. I was in high school and got to see that. Weird thing about that golf tournament, and I have no idea what was going on. I don't think it was a political issue, but for some reason in Tulsa that week, Hubert Green, I don't know if he led from start to finish, but I think that he almost went wire to wire, was getting death threats. I think he was from South Carolina or Georgia, real quiet, small, kind of quiet, easygoing guy. I have no idea why that was going on. So, but yeah, the Tulsa's going to host, Southern Hills is hosting the Senior PGA this summer, and next year getting the PGA, so good for them.
Solid.
That is solid, Tulsa. I am so proud of you. I am so proud. Now, you couldn't support a WNBA team, but I'm so proud of your golf tradition. I got some more names for you, Bill.
Ooh.
Just because I know you enjoy it. Although I'm being honest, Bill, I like the football names better than the basketball names.
Okay.
They're just a little more adventurous, I think. Akron has Alley Alley. I don't know if the oxen are free, but they got Alley Alley. How about Aziz Badango? That's pretty solid. And this one, Mashy Daly. Yeah, I kind of like that one. How about Ball State's got Luke Bumbelow?
Ball State's had a lot.
Luke Bumbelow. Timu Sukos. Now, Bowling Green. See, there's no Smoke Monday.
No.
There's no Bo Upright. Dylan Swingle. LaQuille Hardnett. Hardnett's a pretty good name for a basketball player.
That's pretty strong.
LaQuille Hardnett. He plays with Jonathan Williams.
Yeah.
J-E-E-N Ethan Williams. How about Rashad Weekly McDaniels? That's his name. Rashad Weekly McDaniels.
Hyphenated?
Yes.
Okay.
My name or his name?
His name.
Yeah, I think both probably. Precious Aya. plays for Miami of Ohio, along with Day Grant. I love those the
Day,
the Tatas, the Days, and then this poor guy, guard from Powers, Michigan. His name is Jason Whitens. He's on the college basketball team.
You make a great dentist.
Yeah, and he certainly fits the name. Delaware State has Shaft Clark. He's 6'4". He's a guard from Dover. Now the Howard Bison have No Gel Eastern. I loved that, man. So, no Jerry Curl, none of that. No Isaac Suffren. So does he have to get off does he not get on the court enough? I don't know. Sherwin Devonish Prince Jr. plays for Morgan State. Sherwin Devonish Prince Jr. How about Jadakiss Wright? South Carolina State. Jada, Jadakiss, first name. You said you liked first names.
How come
Jadakiss?
We don't see... Like, out of all the rappers to name your kid, like, I go hard with Jada. Like, I would never have thought that.
Jadakiss.
Right. How come we don't ever see these guys make it to the NBA? Like, there's not.
I don't know. Or on, like, American Pickers.
Like, Bol comes to mind, but that's... I get that name, but it's just... You don't see Bill Rubright driving the lane.
No. You should. Because if anybody could drive a lane, it's Bill Rubright. I don't know, Shaft Clark. Just saying. American East Conference, Bill, Albany Patrons, Jackson Brown. What's he doing? He's playing with Chuck Champion. Now, Bloomington has Bryce Beamer. He's from Florida, and yes, he's very similar to the Whitens kid from Powers, Michigan. They also got...
Solid role player.
Yes, does everything. It's a stat filler. Yeah. Hakon Heismorson. He's from Reykjavik, Iceland, Bill, playing for Binghamton. Now, the New Jersey Institute of Technology only had one guy on the list.
The only guy on the team.
San Antonio Brinson.
Yes.
He's got to have a brother named Austin, doesn't he? Doesn't he?
What's that town we really love? Why don't we name him...
Brownwood.
What was it? I can't think. Bartlesville?
Oh, no. LaGrange? Because there's rumors spreading around that Texas town about that shack outside LaGrange. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
I think we really missed the boat on our kids on what we should have named them.
Well, that's right, because New Hampshire's got Meekness Payne. Meekness.
Like, you want to know I tried to convince my wife to name our son?
I'm afraid to ask.
Taco.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But this is coming right off of, we watched The League.
Okay, all right.
And then you add my last name of Bell, and it's
That's beautiful, yeah. Where's Meekness? Isn't there a rapper?
You're thinking of Meek Mills.
Meek Mills, yeah. So Meekness Payne, he's from Phoenix. Blondin Chichingo.
So does that
Blondo.
We're going to get a Kanyeist or something like that down the line?
That'd be nice. I still like San Antonio Brinson, though. Isn't that great? New Braunfels. Yeah. Okay, UMBC has R.J. Edelrock. I just thought that sounded like something from the Flintstones. And then UMass had Salif Booty. So, there's some of those are pretty good. We'll keep looking. I'm not overly fond of these like I was some of our friends from the other sport, but they're doing the best they can.
Salif Booty's pretty solid.
Salif's Booty's up there. I still like Rashad Weekly McDaniels.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
LaQuill Hardnett. What other sports? Volleyball? Maybe a spiker or something? I don't know. All right, Bill. We were talking NFL, and we tossed around earlier a little bit. We talked a little bit about the whole Deshaun Watson thing. Now, there's a lady that I work with, Bill, that is, it's really funny because she's a big OSU fan.
Mm-hmm.
She likes OU because her husband is, an OU fan. But she's a big OSU fan. She's also a huge Baker Mayfield fan. And Cleveland, and I shared with her the other day that there was talk of a trade because there was.
Mm-hmm.
Houston getting Baker Mayfield and Cleveland getting Deshaun Watson. And there's a few more trades here, Bill. And I was going to see what you thought about them. If you thought that, we did that with the Harden deal, and then it went the way it went. Now, I think, frankly, Bill, at this point, I'm convinced, I would say convinced, but I think he's staying.
This was I'm assuming the trade was suspect before Baker gets drafted, right?
What?
Or when was the trade proposed for Baker for Watson?
A trade about a week ago.
Oh, a week ago?
Yeah. Deshaun Watson's looking for another team.
But you're going to be I understand that, but it doesn't make sense. None of that would make sense.
Well, I'm not sure any of these make sense but that's what's out there. And yeah, it was Mayfield and 2 draft picks.
And the Browns proposed this?
No.
Houston
proposed it. So anyway, here we go.
Yeah.
Here's a couple more of these. Because I don't think any of these are going to happen, but this is what has been discussed. The Jets receive Watson and Randall Cobb. The Texans receive Darnold, a first in 2021, which would be a number 2 pick, the 3rd pick in 2021, a first highest of the 2 in 2022, a 4th round in 2022, and a 1st round in 2023.
That's 100% where I think he's going.
That's a lot of talk has gone.
That's
that way.
100%.
And you know what else I'm hearing?
What is that?
That they're going to draft the Heisman Trophy winner.
Well, they should. They should. I've heard that, and I've heard Miami.
Yeah, but Miami's going to go play. He's going to go play with Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
All right. Now, how about this? The Dolphins receive Deshaun Watson. The Texans receive Tua Tagovailoa, a 1st round pick, the 3rd pick in the 1st round of this year, the 1st pick or 1st round pick in 2022, and a 2nd round pick in 2023.
Yeah. I can't get excited. So from the Browns trade, it makes 100% sense to do that. From a Dolphins trade, it makes 100% sense to make, and for the Jets, it makes sense. But getting it for what they're getting back, it doesn't.
No.
I mean, from any of those teams.
All right. What about here's one we talked about. The Falcons get Deshaun Watson. The Texans get a 1st round draft pick, number 4, a 2nd round pick in 2021, and a 1st round pick in 2022.
And not Matt Ryan?
Mm-mm.
I'd probably try to weasel my way into Matt Ryan. At least he could hold you over for a year or 2.
They do get a 2nd pick in 2023 as well. So they get four picks, 1st and 2nd round for him.
That'd be an interesting team with Watson and Julio and all those guys if they don't blow it up.
All right, now here's another one. Texans get 2021 1st round pick, number 7, a 1st pick in 2022, a 2nd round pick in 2022, and they get Matthew Stafford. And the Lions get Deshaun Watson. I'd hate that for Stafford.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty good deal for...
If I had to rank it, I think the Jets are clear-cut because they should be all in on anything they can give up for Watson.
I agree.
At this point. I would say the Dolphins slide in at 2.
I got one more that's kind of
like
interesting.
that a little bit better, but
this one I find really interesting. The 49ers get Deshaun Watson. The Texans get 1st round pick, number 12, Nick Bosa, Jimmy Garoppolo, and a 2022 second round pick.
If you are the Texans, you swoop that up.
I agree. If you can make that happen.
If you're the 49ers, you never offer that.
I can't. Well, that's the thing.
I never offer that. I can't get rid of Bosa. Or is it? No, it's not Bosa. It's got to be Watt.
Nick Bosa and Jimmy Garoppolo.
That doesn't sound right. No, wait. There's two Bosa brothers. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can't do that though. It doesn't make sense from a 49er aspect. I'd give up Garoppolo all day, but
and
anybody with the last name Bosa or Watt, you don't give up.
What?
No.
Okay. Donald?
I can't give up Donald either.
How about Darnold?
That's a why did I even try to draft him? Have you heard about the supposed trade that was supposed to send Stephon Diggs to New England? And that's the real straw that broke the back and why Tom Brady no longer plays in New England.
No, but I did hear an interview with Tom Brady's dad, not the stuff about COVID, where he basically said that Kraft is a good guy and Belichick's not, and that they were floating false information about Brady that his arm was dead and stuff going back like a year or so ago. So, and if you remember, Bill, we were talking about in training the what do they call them when they show that there's a name like it's a, the early on before they actually show up, there's a name.
Oh, like mini camp?
Yeah, something. It's like 3 letters. And we said, that he was upset.
OTAs.
That they weren't giving him, what he needed.
Yeah.
And that all this other talk was just stuff. And sure enough, man.
Well, even if his arm was going away, right? Look at what Peyton Manning did with a solid defense in Denver behind him, and realistically only able to throw the ball about 15 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it worked okay then.
With a broken neck.
Yeah, worked okay right then. So,
all I had to do was beat Carolina. It was just Carolina.
Obviously Brady has defied a lot of the odds in the age that he is and still playing at an extremely high level. Now, is it the same zip and pep that he's had on the ball for years? Probably not, no.
Zip and pep, that's some of the stuff that Sosa and
Bonds snap and crackle.
There you go. Because Pop's here? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah, there's Pop at the
Wow, man. 7.
I find it more interesting this year that Brady, it almost feels like force feeds Mike Evans the ball, even when it's not working.
How about the catch Godwin made, though? Was that nasty?
Godwin may end up being the biggest winner out of all of this. So think about when his contract comes up. If I'm looking at it just based on, like, say, this year, and let's just say Evans' contract was up and Godwin's contract was up, I would be leaning more towards Godwin than Evans.
Which is a bit surprising based on, I think, what conventional wisdom would suggest. But, man, oh, man.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
I don't think, and I don't mean this to sound, it's going to sound how it's going to sound. I'm not sure average viewers realize how unbelievably difficult that catch was that he made, where he didn't have position and he readjusted his body at full speed in the air to get around and make that play.
Well,
it's unbelievable.
I'm trying to think of, I think it was later on in the third quarter when Mike Evans, it looks like he's running like a go route and never sees the ball. And the corner is apparently the only one that saw the ball and intercepts it, right? to where he dives towards the out of bounds and catches it. Mike Evans never sees the ball. Stops like he's going to see the ball, but it just just lightens up. And I don't understand how you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think in another aspect, as far as something completely different, I don't think enough credit is given to Ronald Jones and Fournette for the ability to even create some kind of running game, right? So whenever maybe Jones isn't going off, all of a sudden Fournette's going off.
That was as good a run as I've seen in the playoffs, in the postseason this year, Bill.
Yeah.
That spin move at the line to get outside, and then bury that guy.
And then they get bunched, right? And they can't run it again. And then all of a sudden, Ronald Jones breaks one. Like, that's their upside versus Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I think their ability to run the ball with a little bit more effectiveness is, and by far and away, dark horse, Leonard Fournette may pull off a Super Bowl MVP that nobody sees coming.
If you said going into that an LSU running back is going to win the most valuable player in that game, you'd probably be thinking it was on the other side of the ball.
Where has he been?
He's been injured.
I mean, I know he's been injured, but again, we revert back to
one carry.
The first game was like his show game, and then after that, I mean, it was okay. Here's Le'Veon, and then where's Le'Veon Bell been?
Yeah.
So then it's been Williams trying to pick up the slack, and he had a nice game.
Yeah, he did. Well, I mean, he was. I thought he was the most productive player in the Super Bowl last year for him.
Very easily should have won the MVP.
East Coast bias.
Yeah,
they wanted the guy from Lubbock instead.
If you're going forward in this game and you're Tampa Bay and you're Todd Bowles, how do you game plan for a win against Kansas City with the team that you have?
I think there's the only way you do it is by giving Tom Brady whatever he needs to be as comfortable in the pocket as he can be. I mean, you've got to make sure he's untouched.
Well, so
because he didn't look that great in the second half.
Defensively, what are your stops here? So I've heard Tony Romo, I think, say it point blank 100 times over the last two games, right? So it's bringing pressure on Mahomes.
I was going to go with open-toed, steel-toed boots, or I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you stop. I don't know how you stop them, Bill.
So it's a linebacker or a corner, either or, and then a safety over the top of Hill. You're only bringing 4 at all times, but it's a different 4. So you're not getting your same down linemen that are coming. It's maybe a corner one time and your lineman drops out. This is what Romo's been preaching, and I fully agree with it, right? You're going to take one or the other out of the play. You're either taking Hill out or you're taking Kelsey out.
I'm letting 45 not let Hill come across the middle on that forever drag route that he can run.
I keep waiting for somebody just to really pop him one time, and he will never get touched. I don't know how he finds his way out of situations, but Tyreek Hill, by far and away, outside of Barry Sanders, is the most elusive guy I've ever seen with a football.
Yeah, and I'll say this. He may even be more elusive simply because there's less of him to get your hands on.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you look physically, it's kind of like we were talking the other day. I think it's just one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard was, Nick Saban when he said, "There's a reason in wrestling and boxing that there's weight classes." And that's why I like the big guys. But he separates himself physically in ways that no one else does. I wanted to bring something up, though, that you said a minute ago. You're talking about the play that Evans blew, right? Do you remember in the Green Bay game, Rodgers, it's when they ended up kicking the field goal, which is still the stupidest thing. I do not understand that. But he tried to throw an in route, and I think it was to Lazard, and Lazard wasn't ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And Rodgers was upset. I mean, he was literally fired up about it, and which led me to then thinking about, what did you think when they lined up to kick the field goal? Were you like, well, thank you? I mean, you were pulling for the Bucks. What? There's no way. Do you know what he said afterwards? How he tried to defend the decision?
Which one, LaFleur? Or
yes.
I don't know how.
It was ridiculous.
I don't know how they thought going for a field goal was the right move on any point. We can question if Aaron Rodgers ran or if he didn't run. I happen to think, though, that the wide receiver he was trying to attempt to throw to, he possibly didn't see that linebacker that was coming across. He probably saw the one behind him. Mm-hmm. But it's not like the throw was horrible. It was low, and I don't know if it was catchable at all, but it was low. Yeah, he could have ran for 5 more yards. Let's get that out of the way. Who cares at that point, right? He's trying to make the end zone play, right? And assuming, like 100% everybody else except for your head coach, that they're going for it on 4th down.
Right.
Like, that should have been a no-brainer call, regardless if you think you can stop him or not.
Bill, do you know what NFL team had the most went for it on 4th down more than any other this year? And do you know that same NFL team made it more than any other and had the highest percentage? The Packers, Bill. And they got an MVP quarterback.
I just don't understand it. Don't understand it. You've been listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Radio and Crossover Radio Sports. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube, and Served, where you get that fresh cup, Cafe Americana, on Tom Brady.